All right, so here's my Miata. Let's see, let's look at it real quick. Oops. See the mileage here. Let's see. Oh, one more. Is it one more press? Yeah, one more press. I am at 22,583. So basically, a little bit over 22,500 miles. A little bit over 22,500 miles. Let's look down here. This is what we're looking at here. We're looking at my tires. So basically they're at the wear bar already. The inside for sure is at the wear bar already. It's completely flush. The middle one has a little bit, just barely a little bit, like a millimeter maybe. Maybe half a millimeter. This one, well, this one's probably about half a millimeter. This one's about a millimeter. And this one maybe a millimeter and a half. So obviously the inside wears more than the outside. That's because of the camber. And the front side here. Let's see a wear bar. Nope, I don't see a wear bar right here. So unfortunately, nope, I don't feel it either right here. It's further up over there, just all the way up here, so you guys really can't see it. But anyways, so let's look from here. The front tire actually has a little bit more life. Well, actually, depends on how you look at it. The inside here on the front tire actually is more worn than the rear tire is, but the outside has more life than the rear tire. So basically, the back tire, both of them are wearing more on the inside than it is on the outside, but the back tire is wearing more evenly than the front tire is. The front tire, that uneven wear is more pronounced. So I actually never rotated these tires. These tires are still, I never rotated them. I figured, they're not lasting long enough to rotate. Doesn't really matter, and they wear out almost the same anyways. So, they both get to the wear bar on the inside about the same, almost at the same time. Obviously this one gets a little bit sooner, but but basically for the most part they're pretty much the same. So I don't think I could get much more miles if I rotate them. So it doesn't make that much of a difference. So with that said, this is all with the stock alignment. So I'm using the stock alignment. I'm pretty close to the center of the stock alignment. The alignment has the numbers, give or take, whatever it is. For example, with the camber, I think if I can remember right, the rear camber is God, now I can't remember what it was now. The rear camber, the rear has a little bit more camber than the front does. A negative camber. I think it's about maybe half a degree more than the front. Even though it's more camber, the front still wears more evenly. I believe that's because the cornering forces in the front. Potentially, I'm thinking potentially that also could be the sway bars, because I did mess around with the sway bar. I actually softened the sway bar in the back a little bit by 1 notch. But anyways, it's still pretty much the stock alignment. That's what I'm getting at. So it's still wearing, unevenly, because of this being basically a sports car. They want to have more negative camber so that way it could corner a little better. So these tires, let's see. So at the beginning of the video you saw 22.5, right? 22,500 miles. And this is my third set of tires. The first set I had were whatever the stock tire was. I forgot what brand it was. It was I think was it Bridgestone. I think it was, whatever model it was. Those tires lasted 9,000 miles. The second tires I had were Michelin RS3-S. Those one lasted 8,000 miles. So I got to 17,000 miles approximately when I put these tires on. So 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 22 and a half. So 5,500 miles. I could probably do another 500 miles and get to 23,000 miles, but I'm gonna change them just because it's pretty much there already, so might as well. but you know, well, we could call these 7,000 mile tires or 7,000 miles before I need to change them. So think about that. Wait, what was it again? 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. No, excuse me, 6,000 miles tires. So you know, 5,500 miles, 6,000. Let's call them 6,000 mile tires. So the first tires were 9,000, second tires were 8,000, and the third tires were 6,000. So you're like, whoa, is it these tires just, you know, is it the quality is bad or whatever? It's not. These tires are, or the Cooper Zeon RS3-S summer tires, and they're really good tires. They are definitely better than the stock OEM tires. The Bridgestone, I think whatever Bridgestone model they were. So these are better. These are not as good as the Michelin PS4S. They're pretty close, but they're not as good. That's probably, I would say these tires are probably about, as far as, you know, let's say the Michelin PS4S is say 100%. These tires are probably about maybe 95% of what the Michelins are. So that's, you know, that's pretty close. You know, not quite on par with the performance. And this is just overall performance. You know, dry, wet, feel, braking, all that stuff. Just slightly, you know, a little bit less performance. But the price on this is basically half the price. You know, I bought these things on clearance for about 90 bucks a tire, or just over $90. I think it was like $92 a tire, whereas the Michelins are like $190. So basically it's like double the price. You know, 180 something, 190 bucks. Like it's like double the price. At double the price, the Michelins are not twice as good of a tire. You know, these are still, you know, very close. So it's, economically speaking, this is worth it. You know, I'm only driving street. I'm not doing any track days, no autocross, none of that stuff. I'm just, you know, street use. You know, basically mountain driving, canyon carving, right? You know, driving the twisties. But then, you know, wait a minute, these things only lasted you know less than 6,000 miles. The Michelin's won 8,000 miles. Well, the reason why that is, it's actually started at the beginning with the first tires, the original tires. Those lasted 9,000 miles because the first tire, basically my car was still stock. You know, everything was still stock. The suspension, brakes, and everything was still stock. Then at the end of that, I would start to you know, put in better brakes. You know, put in better rotors, I should say, not necessarily brakes, but different rotors, cooler running rotors. So I could basically push the car a little bit more without the brakes fading. So that means I could, you know, brake harder, drive a little faster, into the corners a little faster and such, right? So I started doing the brakes towards the end of the first tires, and also I started playing around with suspension at the end of the first tires. Then by the time I got my second tire mounted, I had my Öhlins in there already. I got the two-piece rotors in there already, and I got the Ferrodo 2500 pads in the front. By the time I got the Michelin's on there, so I got all those in there. Pretty much I did all that, including the tires, around the same time. So the Michelin's, you know, went 8,000 miles, but during that time, since the suspension was still new, I was still playing around with it, so it wasn't fully, you know, set up yet. So, you know, basically I would do a one click at a time per week. You know, each click I did, each adjustment change I did, I would drive around for a week just to, you know, basically under all conditions, just to see how it performs. Because that's how you could really tell how, you know, how symptom informed. You can't just go around the block and you know, you can't tell like that. You have to, you know, really drive it on roads that you're familiar with and repeatedly several times, so that way you know the difference. So anyways, so that took me basically it took me a year to tune my my Öhlins. So by the time a year came by, my Michelin's were worn out, right? So 8,000 miles, they were worn out. So by the time I got these on, my suspension was pretty much set. I pretty much had everything more or less dialed in. I was only only like one click or one adjustment from being what it is right now. So with these tires on, by the time I got these tires on, my suspension was pretty much set, pretty much tuned. And since everything was tuned, it performed better. So meaning, I could corner harder, brake later, etc. So you're doing all these different things, putting basically more stress, more load, more wear and tear on the tires. That's why these tires basically, are done, pretty much gone by, by 6,000 miles. So, so if I were to say put the Michelins back on again, I would say that the Michelins will probably be gone in the same amount of mileage. So so they're pretty much just the same as far as where it goes. So that was the point I was getting at. So actually, my next set of tires, I'm actually gonna go back to Michelin's, but I'm not gonna go to back to the PS4S. So this tire and the PS4S, I was running the 215 45, right? So I'm going back to Michelin's, but I'm actually gonna go to the previous Michelin model instead of the PS4S. I'm gonna just go with the PS4. So basically, one model older, and I'm actually going back to the stock size 205. The reason for that is, ideally I'd rather keep this size and I'd rather have a better tire, but I bought my tires at the past tires anyway. These ones I got from Tire Rack. And it was it was on clearance, so it was cheap. But these tires are they don't have these in stock anymore. They only have, I just checked when I ordered the new tires, or just a few weeks ago when I ordered the tires, I was looking for these again to get some more or get whatever is cheaper, and these ones were out of stock, or they only have like one left, I think, one in stock left. So can't get this anymore. So Costco was having a sale on Michelin, $150 off for four tires. So they had the stock size, and then Costco only puts it on stock tires. They don't put on other sizes. So I'm gonna go back to the stock size because of that reason. For getting at Costco, for getting that $150 cheaper. But also they don't, the Michelin's 205 don't. The 205 size doesn't come in the PS4S. The smallest they come in is the 215, 45/17. So basically, I was, for stock size, I had to go back to the PS4 instead. So with that, it's gonna be obviously a little bit narrower, also a little bit smaller in diameter. But so performance-wise, it should be a little bit more responsive in that regards. As far as lateral traction, I'm not sure. Theoretically, the wider one should have better traction, but you're street driving, you're not going that fast, so I don't think it makes much of a difference. But also, with going back to the factory size and having it put in from Costco and everything, and those Michelins actually have a tire life warranty of 20,000 miles. All these other tires I use, they don't have a tire life warranty, but the PS4 has a tire life warranty of 20,000 miles. So I'm pretty sure I'm gonna wear those out in about 6, 7, maybe 8,000 miles at the most, and I could get some cash back for my, Michelin will prorate the tires, so I'm gonna get some credit back because those tires gonna last, won't last the full 20,000 miles. So that's gonna be cheaper for me. So that's why I'm doing it. It's to save some money, because man, this car, I was, when I got this car and I got rid of my, I moved away from big motorcycles. I was thinking, man, motorcycles tires, they don't last that long, and they, and they're expensive, and that was getting expensive. Then I was like, oh, let me get a car. Well, that was one of the reasons why I got a car. So the tires on cars last longer than motorcycles. At least that's what I was thinking anyways at the time. I was like, oh, so it'd be cheaper that way. But the way I drive this thing and the type of tire I'm using, it's actually turning out that it's actually more expensive. It's like, because this tire right here only lasted 6,000 miles. My motorcycle tires last about that long. Well, it depends on what type I'm using. If I'm using like a sports tire, then it only lasts about 3,000 miles, 4,000 miles. If I'm using a sport touring tire, it'll last me like 9,000 miles. So basically, these this car just in tires alone is costing me more than motorcycles tires. So I'm like, God damn it, you know, I was trying to reduce my expenses, but end up this thing being kind of almost a money pit, almost not quite a money pit, but you know, it's expensive. It's not cheap to own and operate this, and especially to drive it hard, you know, drive it fast and spirited driving. If you drive like a grandma, then you know, no worries, it'll last a long time. But driving hard and fast to the mountains, it wears out fast, and you know, so that becomes expensive. So anyways, yeah, so that was my long kind of rant almost, or you know, at least my thought process on why I'm doing, you know, picking the choices I'm choosing, and you know, why I'm doing what I'm doing. Because the reality is, you know, if I had won the lottery, I wouldn't care what tires. I would run with RS3-S all the time. I wouldn't care, you know. But you know, I have a budget, so we're always limited to our budget, right? So yeah. So anyways, overall, these are good tires. You know, you find them for you know, low cost, go for it. You know, I would have got another pair of these or another set of these if Tire Rack had them in stock, but they don't. So unfortunately, you know, gotta go with something else. All right, thanks for watching.